To find a missing 80-year-old Omaha man came together again tonight in his honor.
Levi Blake went missing last summer. His body was finally found this past weekend. Our Bella Caracta takes us to the Vigil.
Levi Blake's remains were found just near that fence, about a mile away from where he was last seen in August. After months of searching, his family and friends have some closure. It was a day to remember Levi Blake.
He's a very strong person.
And to thank the community for their help finding him.
It's a real blessing for me to have these people around me, because it takes special people like this to make a difference.
After a summer of searching, flyers in the hands of hopeful friends and family. Even Omaha police offering a $5,000 reward for any information leading to Blake. An unwanted outcome for the family, but they needed something tangible.
It's just any closure. We all need closure.
And now,
I'm just happy that he had peace and happy that my family get closure.
This vigil is not the end of Levi Blake's story.
That's what propels me forward with the Levi Blake Foundation. You know, I gotta keep going.
His son Terrence founded an organization to help other families.
To try and prevent, if not be preventative, of having this happen again.
Get through the unimaginable experience of finding a missing loved one. On your side in Omaha, Bella Caracta, 6 News.